There's been another deadly aircraft collision, this time in southern Arizona. It happened about 20 miles north of Tucson at the Marana Regional Airport, involving two smaller fixed-wing single-engine planes. Preliminary information from the NTSB reveals the planes collided while going in the direction of the wind. Officials say at least 2 people are dead. It appears a total of 4 people were involved, 2 people on each plane. I want to bring in Michael McCormick. He's an associate professor and program coordinator at Air Traffic Management. Thank you so much, Michael, for being here. What can you tell us, first of all, about this area and this airport in particular?
Marana, Arizona is a small community in southern Arizona, and the airport is about 15 miles northwest of Marana. It is a small airport with 2 runways, one relatively small and one twice the size. It is what is known as an uncontrolled airport, meaning that there is no air traffic control tower at the airport. But looking back over the safety history of the airport, there has been no reports of any previous collisions at the airport. The aircraft are operating under what's known as visual flight rules in a traffic pattern within the airport. Because it is uncontrolled, the aircraft actually talk to each other on what's known as the Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, or CTAF. And that's how they share what they're going to do and how they're going to do it as they operate in and around the airport.
Michael, is it typical for a smaller or regional airport to be, as you say, uncontrolled, to not have air traffic control towers?
That is not unusual at all. For the small, low volume, general aviation airports generally do not have air traffic control towers.
What can you tell us about these 2 planes that were involved? What do you know about the aircraft?
What we know so far, and this is very preliminary information, that one is a Cessna Skyhawk, which is a Cessna 172, which is a high-wing aircraft, meaning that the wing is on top of the fuselage. The other aircraft is a Lancer 320, and that is an aircraft that is a kit-built aircraft. Of course, that may not be a factor in this at all, but what may be a factor is that as a low-wing aircraft, in other words, the wing is on the bottom of the aircraft. And what happens is when you have a high-wing aircraft below a low-wing aircraft, they actually can't see each other because their wings will block their view to the other aircraft. And unfortunately, that has been a cause of tragic accidents in the past.
Can you explain that a little bit further? I don't quite understand. And for people who are sitting at home who may not know what a kit plane is, does that essentially mean that the person operating the plane builds it themselves?
That's correct. There are some services that you can order and they will come assembled. However, this kit plane is generally put together by the owner of the aircraft. And what I mean by the high wing, low wing is that think of yourself in an aircraft, typically a commercial aircraft, and you're sitting over top of the wing. That's a low wing aircraft. You can look to your left or right out the window and you can't see the ground. All you do is you see the wing. So in fact, if there was another aircraft below you, you would not know. And when you put a high wing aircraft into the mix, underneath the low wing aircraft, the pilot of the other aircraft could look up and not see the other aircraft because it's blocked by the wing.
Wow. Just an incredible insight that you're giving us. I'm just trying to absorb it. I want to ask you about that preliminary information from the MTSB that I had mentioned, which reveals the planes collided while going in the direction of the wind. Can you help us understand what that means?
When an aircraft operates in an uncontrolled airport under visual flight rules, they will fly what's known as a pattern. And that pattern involves essentially a rectangle that goes around the airport and ends at the runway. And there's what's known as the upwind leg of that pattern, which is you're flying into the wind, and then you fly in the box across wind, and then you come and you fly into a downwind where you're flying with a tailwind. When you come to the downwind, then you turn what's known as base, you square off the base, then you come in on final, and you come in and land at the runway. And that pattern is commonly used all throughout airports around the world.
You're going to have to forgive me for my ignorance. Does flying in the direction of the wind, as it appears these aircraft were, does that mean downwind or does that mean upwind? Does that mean with the flow of the wind or against the wind?
With the flow, against the flow of the wind would be the upwind.
Okay.
With the flow of the wind would be the downwind.
Okay. Thank you, Michael McCormick. Certainly a lot more to figure out on what went wrong here, but we appreciate your expertise.